Welcome to the series Against All Odds, Crafting a Career in the Arts. According to Statistics Canada, around 19% of the population are living with some form of disability that affects their level of freedom, independence, or quality of life. Of that population, a percentage are invisibly disabled, which means they may look and act healthy but are living with a chronic condition. Having an invisible disability could happen to anyone at any time and can include autoimmune diseases, brain injuries and strokes, chronic pain, mental or psychological disorders, among others.
People with invisible disabilities may not be able to work a full-time schedule or may need a modified schedule based on how they feel. But having an invisible disability doesn't mean living your dream is completely impossible. In this series, we will share with you stories of invisibly disabled professional craft artists who work or sell their art in Edmonton. We have also included valuable community resources that are important for any artist who wants to begin their career. I'm Amy, an award-winning artist and filmmaker who is invisibly disabled. And together with my husband Tanner, I will be sharing the stories of local artists with invisible disabilities.
And I will take you to different places in the community to show you where support is available.
It is our hope that with this series, anyone looking to begin their art career will know where the supports and resources exist in our community. We also hope, if you are invisibly disabled, the stories of the artists included in this series will help you see how it is possible to have a career in the arts, or inspire you to explore the artistic medium you have been curious about.
In this episode, we'll be taking you along to meet a gallery owner whose gallery has been representing Edmonton artists since 1975. She will also be going over everything you need to be represented by a professional gallery. After that, we'll be taking you to meet a local potter and teacher. She will share with you her experiences and advice as a professional artist.
My name is Jackie Bagheera. I'm the owner of the Bear Claw Gallery, and we are in Edmonton, Alberta. The Bear Claw Gallery has been in business for 47 years. My mother started the gallery in 1975, and I continued with it. The Bear Claw Gallery is a First Nations, Métis, and Inuit art gallery. We promote Indigenous artists. So an artist can apply to get into the gallery with a portfolio. Would include maybe some photographs, a CV, biography. So if an artist doesn't have a degree, I would recommend that they still present their work in a professional manner, put together a portfolio, which includes some information on them, a representation of their body of work with very clear photographs. What I look for in a potential artist is an artist that has their own unique style. If I have an artist that has a similar style or theme to the work, I look for something that's a little different. An artist, if they want to build a relationship, would approach the gallery initially, maybe with bringing in some of their works. And then from there, it's a symbiotic relationship. There has to be commitment on both parts. The gallery is committed to promote and sell the works, and the artist has to be committed to producing the works as the gallery needs it. And so there has to be open communication between both parties to make it work. The Bear Claw Gallery doesn't necessarily require CVs, just sort of a biography of an artist who might influence their work and a little bit of a history of their influences. But many other galleries do require CVs, and that's a list of your education, of previous exhibits, of your history as an artist. At the same time, what we do require or appreciate are artist statements, and they can vary from body of work to body of work. So if an artist has an exhibition, we usually require that they have an artist statement for that exhibition. and that would be a title for the show and what the influence is, whether that's from their own life experience, whether it's a thought, an idea that they've been working on for some time that reflects the work that they are bringing into the market. So my 3 pieces of advice for artists that are looking to display their works in gallery is, firstly, open a conversation with that gallery. Send an email or make a phone call, introduce yourself. Cold calls are really not welcome because gallery owners are very, very busy, and an appointment would be the appropriate way to go forward with that. But if you begin a conversation with the gallery and they're not looking to take any works on, or they're guiding you towards perhaps work that would work within their gallery, listen to what they have to say. You don't have to necessarily agree with the gallery, but they are in this business for a reason and they know how to market the works. So that would be some of my best advice. An artist gets a solo exhibit depending on how well the gallery is able to build up a market, and that may take some time. So I know the Bear Claw Gallery will promote an artist for a year before they get a full solo exhibit. And at that time, then we have a conversation with our artists and they have to build up a body of works, usually for us, 20 to 30 paintings with a theme, a title, an artist statement. And then the gallery goes forward to market the work in a solo exhibition. And that then becomes an ongoing process where the gallery may expect that you complete a body of work like this every 12 to 18 months. So one thing an artist should never do when they approach a gallery is make a cold call, walk in, take out your phone and start scrolling through images. It's just not an appropriate way for a gallery to look at works and make a distinction regarding those works.
Now we're going to take you to visit a seasoned professional potter. She's been making her work since 1984 and teaching since 1988. In this episode, we're going to talk to her about how she got started with her lengthy career, and she's also going to share with us her biggest tips for how you can get started and get your work out there and seen.
Hi, my name's Joanna Lang, and I'm a clay artist, and I live and work in Edmonton, Alberta. The thing that I love most about clay, I think, is the physicality of it. I really enjoy the process, how it engages not only my body, but my mind too, because I'm always having to solve problems. There are always problems. Things cracking, things warping, firings that don't work out quite right, that sort of thing. The other thing I really enjoy about clay is its endless possibility. You can literally make anything out of clay, anything from a salt shaker to tiles on the space shuttle. Of course, you wouldn't do that in the home studio, but still, it's got such a wide repertoire, if you will. I make a living as an artist. Not always solely as an artist. For many years, I worked for the City of Winnipeg in the Parks and Recreation Department, running a leisure center, teaching classes, and actually operating the wood shop, so that was interesting. Working in youth centers for the city, and then in arenas, and allocating athletic fields, so I had a very broad experience doing that sort of thing. But at the same time, I always had my own practice. Okay, so at the time, it wasn't a full-time practice, but always working at home, mainly sculpture. And then I decided, I'm kind of tired of having to go to a day job. So in 2000, I started to transition more into full-time work in the studio, and that sort of morphed into more functional work. Up to that point, it had been mostly sculptural work, and then I thought, what's the best way to sort of provide an income for myself? So I started focusing on functional work, plates and cups, tableware, bakeware, and that sort of thing. And then I started to do shows, so just small shows around Winnipeg, and then branching out to larger shows. And in 2003, I was able to leave my job, the city, and become a full-time independent artist, which, boy, oh boy, it's been a really interesting experience. And so as well as all of that, I have been teaching community clay classes since 1989. So that has always been the backbone, if you will, to my practice. So just 2 or 3 or 4 classes a week. And now, since I started teaching, moved to Edmonton in 2010, it took me a couple of years to sort of get established and get to know people. And I've been teaching classes in Edmonton and the surrounding communities, and now up to 8 or 9 or 10 classes a week sometimes. So there's been a huge shift, so I've gone from working for someone else and having my own practice at home, working on sculpture, to doing full-time production work and doing shows, having my work in galleries and whatnot. And since COVID particularly, there was nothing over COVID, no shows, no teaching, no nothing. So now I'm more focused on teaching and just trying to supply the remaining galleries that I do have. Well, I love teaching flat out, hands down. New students are particularly a source of wonder and awe to me, because you can never know what they're going to get up to. And they do some really interesting things, right? And it's just nice to be able to share with new people the joy that I have in working with clay too, and then maybe helping them to express themselves in a way maybe they never thought they could before. People are nervous about trying something new, taking a class. It's important to know that I'm nervous too. I'm always nervous on the first class, every time. It doesn't matter, even with returning students. But just, to relax, meet the other students, everybody's nice, and focus on the process. Try to keep your expectations low and you won't be disappointed. Particularly when you're learning to work on the wheel, just saying. Yeah. Well, when I first moved out here, I didn't know about the Craft Council. And my friend Linda Freyna at the time was working there, and she said, "Oh, Joe, you should get your work into the Craft Council. I think it'd be really a good venue for you, a good platform." And I said, "Well, I'm not a joiner." So she had to work on me for a couple of years. And it is a really good venue. It's a really good platform, and it's nice to be able to have work in a bricks and mortar store where people can go and they can pick it up. And they can touch it, and so it's been good that way. And also with the new location in Calgary, that's been really helpful too, because over COVID, lots of galleries shut down. So those are the only 2, at this point, remaining galleries that I'm in at this time. And it's just, I think the Craft Council is really important in letting the community know, like the broader community know, that craft is important. It's part of our lives in ways that you can't even really imagine sometimes. When you think about clay, the history of clay really is the history of humanity, and it's just nice to have that connection there. For someone who's just starting out and is looking for a way to promote or sell their work, I don't know, what would I recommend? Probably going to a few small shows in your community would help, because I know there are sort of church bazaars and community centers have small fairs, so that's a good place to start, and it's really friendly and low cost most of the time, and then you can get some feedback from people who aren't your family, who are wonderful and supportive and always really happy for what you're doing. But it's good to go out into a broader part of the community to find out what other people think about your work. So that would be a good place to start. Also, the great thing about the Craft Council is you can submit your work for consideration to be sold in the gallery shop, and they will review it. And even if you're not accepted at that time, you can ask for feedback and you will get feedback. which is often very helpful in perhaps some small, simple things that you could do maybe to finish your work better, or, maybe another direction that you might not have considered before. And and just keep trying. Just if you want your work to be shown in a gallery, then approach the gallery. People are always very open to new exhibitors, new vendors, and are happy to look at your work, I think, for the most part. Well, what would I wish I had known at the beginning? There isn't a lot that I wish I'd known first, because it's been a whole journey, and you never can tell what's going to happen next, and you never can tell what direction you're going to go in, or what's going to sort of push you off into a new direction. I'm really happy with my journey. It's had lots of challenges and stuff. Probably I would have wanted to know that, I shouldn't have gotten that line of credit back in the day. So for further advice for beginning craftspeople is, work within your means. That would probably be my number one piece of advice. And one more thing, just one more little piece of advice for new artists: always buy the best quality equipment you can, because it'll last you a lifetime.
You may be nervous to start classes in something new, but as we learned from Joanna, often so is the teacher, and that is okay. The main thing is you jump in and get started, because you never know what you will make or where your artistic dreams may take you. And as we learned from Jackie, you don't need a degree to be represented in a professional gallery, and often the most important thing after your work is your relationship with the gallery. Please follow along with this series for more advice from community supports and inspirational stories from professional artists.